Hello, Blue Justin here, still Justin, still not blue, and this video is the winner of the poll selection of what video I should do next. I believe this is a new introduction by YouTube that actually allows me to do polls, so this is the first one I've done. It's to do with the relaxing of their monetization rules, even though I'm not actually monetized. And this is quite a nice, interesting outcome, but more on the poll stuff later on. In the meantime, I really do want to dedicate this to a certain extent as a big shout out to Hannah from Hordes of Horror, because a lot of these titles that I picked up this month have come from her recommendations for either reviews or for watching quite a lot of the time on streaming channels that you can get in the UK. And of course, Blue Justin don't stream, just the same as Machete don't text. So I had to track them all down on disc where they're available. And as you'll see, quite a lot of that means that I had to go and import some of these. So on to the discs themselves. First up, we've got this nice little thing. It's a German import, as you can see. And that is There's Something in the Barn. This one is a Norwegian horror comedy, and it was Hannah recommendation. She really likes this one around about Christmas time, though obviously it's suitable for Halloween as well. The basic premise being that a family moves into a new house in Norway that has a barn elf. That's sort of little elf creature that looks after the place and that it does nice by you, but only if you don't annoy it, like making loud noises, exposing it to bright lights, gremlins, or modernising the house itself. So of course, despite the warnings from the child, who knows about the elf who tells his family, they proceed to have a huge Christmas party and modernise the house. And then it starts to get a bit messy, as it does similarly at the end of Gremlins, where the house elf starts turning the tables and things get messy. Next up, we have Splinter, another recommendation from Hannah. This one is a body horror type movie that's done on a very cheap budget, but shows how to do a movie on a cheap budget using good practical effects. It's been described as a sort of The Thing in a remote motel garage, or garage, that type of thing, in the middle of nowhere in the States, after a car breaks down, and the spores of the creature either can animate the dead or take you over if they come into contact with you, and that ain't good. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. And as you'll notice, as I've probably told you before, not normally a big one for horror, but I seem to be preparing myself for October. So, and I'm trying to take advice from the best. Thank you, Hannah. And another one from Hannah. This one is called Popcorn. Amazingly enough, this one I didn't have to import, which is nice. It's a meta type horror where a group of high school kids or whatever put on a horror film festival showing ancient horror films in like a 4D theatre with sort of like electric shocks for when the Electro Man on screen, etc., does his kills, etc. And it turns out that a masked figure starts really stalking the horror festival and killing in his own ways. So that is another Hannah recommendation. It's got lots of good gimmicks, and as well as lots of blood and gore. So that's going to be fun. So 15 there. Oh, this one wasn't a recommendation from streaming, but I did see Hannah's review, and this one is The Mean One. And again, as you can see, a German import, because there isn't a UK release apart from, I think there might be a DVD, but I don't think there's a Blu-ray. So this is sort of the Grincher only with attitude type of thing. Holiday, again, it's a Christmassy horror, parody horror, so that can either be suitable for October or for nasty Christmas if you happen to be in that mood. Next up we have another last one. This one's another German import and another recommendation from Hannah. Thank you very much. This one's summer of '84 and starts off with your kids investigating a potential murder suspect in a typical 80s kids investigate type way, and then things start to get nastier as the movie goes on, and they discover what potentially is really going on, and things take a horror turn near in the last half or two or a third or whatever of the movie. It's got some, obviously all of these have, at least this one's got English because it's originally an English film. It's just not available in the UK. I think I could get it from the US, but quite often, as in this case, the German one, because it's originally in English, has the English soundtrack as well as being a lot cheaper. Quite often it won't have the English subtitles if you need it, though. In this case it does, but always if you do need subtitles and you're importing from Germany, watch out, because quite often they will only do subtitles in German. It's not like in the UK you'll quite often have, or in America you'll quite often have, the English language and quite a lot of other languages for dubbing, potentially, and then you'll have huge numbers of subtitle languages. Quite often in Europe, the Germans and the French, an example, will just put on subtitles for German and French because they're doing it for their country, and they're expecting anybody who's who's an English speaker will buy it from their own country, not thinking the fact that we haven't got a release in our own country. Put that one away. I might cut that bit. And I believe this is the last one that was recommended by Hannah from Hordes, and it was an exceedingly strong, do not miss this recommendation, which is Tigers Are Not Afraid. Certified fresh, according to this, by Rotten Tomatoes. I'd rather have it certified by Hannah. So this one's strong horror, threat, violence and language. It's beware if you're not a fan of subtitled films. This is in its original Spanish only, with English subtitles, about the surviving children of a Mexican drug war who band together to survive, and it lends itself a lot to a sort of Guillermo del Toro type style from Pan's Labyrinth, which it is, I would imagine, the idea of being in a combat area. Well, in this case, it's still it might only be a drug war rather than a civil war. The effects on the children are still just as devastating, and apparently it's very, very powerful story, and it's got a lovely mixture of horror and fantasy in a real life situation that is happening. So despite the fact this one didn't come up on Hannah's videos recently, I'm sure that she will have seen it and will know about it. So if not, here it's coming anyway. This one is one that I didn't get from Hannah's video. I got from, or I saw on a YouTuber's video who was doing an idea of, would I, or would normally people survive this horror film, when lots of people say I could survive this horror film. And he put up a video with, these are various body horror movies, would I survive or would you survive ideas, which is, interestingly, Hannah has done one that, not just body horror, one that was in that style also recently, which is really, really interesting, and I took some ideas from that, but they haven't arrived yet. And this one is Slither. Oh look, it's the German import, because you can't get one decently in the UK. There is an American one. It's a lot more expensive. This one obviously does have the English language because it was made in English. In actual fact, this one also does have English subtitles if you need subtitles and you're watching in English. So this is actually James Gunn's first proper full-length movie. He wrote it, he directed it, and it's become a bit of a cult since then. It's essentially a body horror, as I was mentioning, about someone who gets infected with worm-type parasites, as you can see on the cover there. It takes them over, it controls them under a type of hive mind situation, but it does retain their memories. So when they appear at your front door saying please let me in, etc., they can remember what the person they're impersonating or have taken over remembers. So it's very hard to tell them from the real thing, whether or not they've been infected or not. And there's some quite good gross out stuff. I've seen a couple of clips. That's good fun. Like I said, not normally into horror, but actually I'm really setting myself up for my October watches now. And I'm surprised sometimes I don't actually mind body horror, which is one of the things I thought I would, but considering I really enjoy The Thing, for example, I don't think it's going to worry me too much, as long as I convince myself it's science fiction, not something that's really scary. So next up we have, and I can't remember how I found this. I think I was just searching for something else and it popped up and it was really, really cheap, so I just picked it up anyway. And this is VFW. For Americans, they will know that stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm sorry, I should have remembered that. And I believe they actually have Veteran of Foreign Wars meetings or places to meet in the US. And this is one of those situations. It's they've got a meeting going on, and in comes a girl who's fleeing from some people. She appears to have stolen their cache of new on the street drugs. However, these drugs appear to have turned them into mutant madmen sort of thing, who then proceed to want their drugs back, surprisingly enough. And the veteran force has to protect the girl and themselves as the mutant drug-addled dealers and a relentless army of punk mutants try to attack and kill them to get the drugs back. Next up, we have one that is sort of horror, but isn't. I would put it, from the description, I haven't seen it before, more amongst the Goosebumps type era, especially since it's actually only PG rated. But I just liked the sound of it. It sounds to me like it's very much, as I was describing Popcorn earlier, where it's meta and it's a film festival where people get killed in the style of, or during the horror of the festival. This one is called Matinee, and as you can see, it stars like John Goodman, and it's by Joe Dante, so there's always a good start. So it's a very similar thing with putting on horror films in he puts on a film that he's managed to get he puts on a film that he's managed to get a preview showing for, which turns out to be happening at the same time as the Cuban Missile Crisis is about to start. So the question is whether the threat of a genuine nuclear war distract the locals from the movie, or will it just make it doubly terrifying that the subject is a nuclear created half man, half ant, all terror, as the slogan for the movie itself goes. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Nice to see. Obviously you can see there it's Arrow, and as usual Arrow done the nicest little job with the extras, including high definition transfer, lossless stereo, newly edited interviews with Joe Dante, discussion with Joe Dante about the making of, full-length version of the film within a film, the actual Mant, which is the half man, half ant, all terror, which is going to be exceedingly interesting. Seeing the film that is again like a meta idea of showing a horror film in a horror film. That in this case is a very, very light horror comedy. Deleted and extended scenes from Joe Dante's work print, reversible sleeve featuring this the newly commissioned art, and the original. So have a good time. Yeah, we have. So I'm going to just, when I say just, open it up so we can see the different art. Oh, advertising Desperado card. That's a good movie. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this. It's very strange. It must be out for quite a while, because even though it's Arrow, it's got Blu-ray and a DVD, which really nicely has different artwork on. But it's not really going to be important for most people nowadays, I imagine. And that is the original artwork as compared to that newly commissioned. Of course, what's nice about if you do use the original artwork is you don't get the PG rating on it. So, always an advantage, but I haven't decided which I'm going to do yet. So, and that actually is the end of, at last you may think, the horror type stuff. Just a few more to go. This one is a bit strange for a reason I will explain. This is something called Big Wednesday, very much coming of age type thing around about the 60s to 70s, including the draft to the Vietnam War, from these three friends who are surfers. The three friends include Jan, Michael, Vincent and Gary Busey, and you can't go wrong with those. Well, I don't think you can. Those are really good names to step in. It is an exclusive from HMV, from the premium collection, which means I know that Kermit will have it because he's got them all, and I hear good things about it. However, why did I get it? The answer to that one is I didn't. HMV, when I say very kindly, I don't think it was kind. HMV accidentally put this in with another on my orders, and they just put it into the envelope accidentally. So I got 3 discs, including this one as an extra, with my 2 title order, and basically they gave this one to me for free, which, you know, after all the nice shopping I've done with them over the years, I decided that they wouldn't mind if I decided to keep it, rather than going through all the trouble of telling them that they sent me something extra and trying to get it back to them. And like I said, I hear actually it's quite a well regarded coming of age and living through those times, trying to get together after the war, seeing how people have changed, and described on the back as possibly one of the best American films of the 70s by Time Out, which is quite a claim, I shall say. And it does include an audio commentary and a retrospective documentary, which is quite interesting, I think. So I'll just put that aside. One that I did get, which is probably a lot less quality, but what the hell. This is The Condemned. This one's got Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vinnie Jones, so you can tell the sort of movie it's going to be. The tagline of 10 people will fight, 9 will die. Yep, this is a sort of usual take 10 prisoners on death row, throw them onto an island. The one that survives killing each other, then they're let free with a big chunk of money. This is all run by obviously a corrupt TV executive who wants to massively boost the ratings for himself, and in sort of cooperation with a corrupt Central American prison where they'd all been held. So, as it happened, when I was looking for the description of this for this video, I did actually come across another film called The Condemned, which I think this is going back to 2007. I think there's one from about 2015, also called The Condemned, which is a horror movie. But not all movies were horror, just because the name's the same. I did actually order that one, knowing it wasn't the horror one. It wasn't a mess up. Next up, this is another Arrow output. This is The Shootist, John Wayne's last film about an aging gunfighter who is suffering from cancer, who wants to go out on his own terms rather than fading away, dying in pain in bed. I think it's quite an interesting allegory for the fact I believe Wayne did have, he knew he had cancer at this point. If I'm wrong, please correct me, and I wouldn't want to make that assumption. I should have double checked that fact before I spoke up. That's purely going off memory, but I believe that Wayne knew he was suffering at the time, so that makes it all the more poignant. It's an excellent. I'm not usually a John Wayne fan. I know. Shoot me, but shootist, no pun intended. But I think I'm going to like this one because it's more of a down to earth rather than I'm wearing a white hat, therefore I win the day by being wonderful John Wayne style. Next up we have a steelbook, and the first of my steelbooks. I think this is the, yeah, we've got a couple to go. All the rest of these are steelbooks. First up we have Doctor Who Season 2. Yes, I know people would say it's not Season 2, it's only Season 2 since Disney took over. Actually, they have got a little bit of a sneaky workaround there, in the sense that up until the end, up until Disney joined forces with them to inject money, in actual fact they were called Series 1. Series 1 was the name they gave to Christopher Eccleston's series. Now, obviously, if you go back to the original classic Doctor Who, then that doesn't fit in with that either. But again, they didn't really describe them as series back then. They were in serials of continuous runs. They just did them by year. So it's quite an odd layout compared to most TV series, mostly because it's been running for so long. So yes, Christopher Eccleston was Series 1, and it's in a series blah 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 blah, etc. And then the first of the Disney ones with these new actors was Season 1, and this is Season 2. Now, actually, I haven't seen Season 2 at all. I haven't finished watching Season 1 because, despite that, I loved the programme and I certainly wasn't going to miss out on it. I have felt that it's been going sadly downhill very recently, and for a number of reasons which I'm not going to go into, because they've been got into 101 times before. Just suffice to say, I do agree with a lot of the criticisms, and I think it's a great shame. I don't know how they're going to deal with it. I don't know whether the idea of taking a break and starting again is a good one, or whether they can do something about it. But we shall see. And I'm really just hoping that the reputation that more recent ones have got is a little bit overplayed, and it's not that bad, and I still enjoy it. Next up, one before last, we have the steelbook of Thunderbolts, the 4K. I haven't seen this one either, but I hear that it's one of the best things Marvel have done in quite some time, despite the fact it steps a little bit outside the mainstream of well-known superheroes or heroes, which has been a lot of their problem. A lot of people, I don't think, have been able to step into the idea of where Marvel have gone with using lesser known heroes or superheroes. They've not, because they've not known the backstory, or because the films have therefore had to make a real effort to explain the backstory. Not that they don't do that on stuff like Spider-Man half a dozen times. It does make it more difficult, but this one, I hear, basically did it right. So I'm really looking forward to actually settling down and watching this one. Nice bit of Atmos and Dolby Vision as well. So I'm usually, now because Disney used to not do Dolby Vision on any of their physical releases, they used to only have it for their streaming service because they were cheapskates and wouldn't pay out for physical because they didn't want to support physical. Now that they are realising that physical still has a part to play in their game plan, and they can charge a fortune for steelbooks for it, mostly from their TV stuff, then they are putting Dolby Vision stuff on, which is very, very welcome, even though, as you might have seen if you for me, that I discovered when I got my new player during July, I found out that my TV was not Dolby Vision compatible, which I thought it was, which is very distressing, or was very distressing. I've got used to the idea now. But in future, I shall be having a Dolby Vision capable of TV. I'm sure of it. It will be a long time off because my present TV is 4K. It's got a very good picture, apart from the fact it's only LED, not OLED. But it is capable of 3D with actual flicker glasses when I set that up fully. And it's not the players that usually have the problem. Most players actually can cope with 3D stuff. It's just the no TV has it anymore. Yeah, so you have to go projector, and I'm not allowed to get a projector because A, I don't have the room, and B, we don't have the room. So, and yeah, anyway, so finally, before my time runs out, this is an upgrade. This is an imported upgrade, and it's an upgrade of something I actually haven't watched yet because I want to watch the two films before it. But I just couldn't resist. I cannot remember whose channel this was on, and I'm pretty sure it's someone who watches this channel, so I do apologise that I can't remember who showed this on their channel, and I went, oh, I'm getting that. And that is the German steelbook for Maxine. I just think that cover is so much nicer than the regular Amaray in any country. It's also 4K, so at least I am upgrading from Blu-ray to 4K. I'm not just getting it for being a steelbook. I'm actually upgrading the quality of the disc, so that will be really, really good. Really, this is the one actually, this, whatever people say about the preferences, this is the one actually I'm almost most looking forward to of the Pearl and X series, because of the background and the setting of this one with the adult industry and that, and my mild knowledge of what's going on. So yeah, here we go on that one. So that's my final entry for this month's haul. As you say, that was very much a preparation for October and what I'll be watching. I've now got to try and find any prequels of anything in there that isn't standalone, such as my Pearl on Blu-ray. I know that I have them, but I'm sure they're also in boxes, and I don't think they're in particularly well marked boxes because I got them too long ago before I organised my boxes very well. And so before I go quickly, this is an image of the poll I mentioned that went up on my YouTube page. So as you can see, it was much closer than I thought it was going to be with this video coming out. Yes, it came out with a reasonable victory, but considering after the first half of the week where the poll was up, neither of the anime suggestions had got any votes at all, and it was a very, very close run thing between if I should do this haul video or whether I should do my best top 5 of my birth year's first video, my living year's top video, which was 1966, as you can see in the pitch. But that was a very, very close run thing. It was about 2-1 or 3-1 or 3-2, whatever. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came quite a few votes, as you can see, for what's coming up in September full list anime. So that one will be coming quite soon, because obviously there's no point in me doing it too far down the line, because September will be over, and be telling you what's coming out in September after it's gone is a bit pointless. Anyway, like I said, watch out in for future polls as well, please, because I will be doing more of them, because I do really value your feedback. You know, having your say and sticking and doing what you want to see, really, I want to get involved with. At the same time, obviously, I'm not going to ignore the stuff that I would like to do, and hope that you also like it, even if you hadn't voted for it. Yeah, so that was my August haul, and very much thanks to Hannah for a lot of her recommendations and spoiler-free reviews. That led me to a lot of the titles that I tracked down on disc. I can only recommend her channel very, very highly. The videos she puts out regularly are absolutely brilliant, and she's the only one I know have a Patreon with, because it's worth it. So there's that. So we've also, obviously, as you saw, we had a few oddities, few imports, and even a freebie from HMV, which is very nice of them. And if they want to do it again, I'm more than happy for them to do that. I hope you, after voting for it, you did enjoy this video, and will give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't followed me yet, please do. And I will be doing, like I said, more polls in future, so please keep an eye out for them, because I would like as many people as possible to vote for what they want, or put in comments in, because that's the first time that I've been allowed to get comments back from you without going via things like Instagram as a third party, because YouTube took away the DMs from YouTube, and I've asked for them to have this section given to me, but I wasn't deemed worthy enough for the number of people I've got subscribing. But now I am, because I don't think it's because of the number of subscribers. I think the number of subscribers you need has dropped. But I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. So, like I said, yeah, that's it. And thank you ever so much for watching. And if you would, can you drop in the comments what movies you've got lined up for October? I'm still picking these up I'm still picking some up at the moment in September, as well as obviously the September releases. So that will come out in my September haul in a few weeks' time. And if you could put down now even what you're expecting to pick up or watch in October, if you are doing a full horror month, as seems to be quite common. I usually don't, because I haven't in the past had enough horror movies really to watch. Now I'm really trying to, got quite a few of them, especially including these. I've noticed they're only about 80 odd minutes, or 85 90 minutes long, which means I can do them late at night, before bed, etc., something like that, without too much difficulty. And that is, I do think, one of the advantages of a lot of horror movies, in the sense that they don't tend to be long, sprawling things. That's not to say you don't get long horror movies, but there are quite a few that like to keep it within the short, punchy time scale to keep your attention focused, etc. So with that, I shall let you be and say thank you very much for watching, and